NASCAR Xfinity Series race officially concluded from Gateway, and Connor Zilisch puts up an absolute dominant clinic and picks up his 9th win of 2025. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Xfinity Series race from Gateway, the new way 200. We had quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. So this, of course, was the first NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Gateway since 2010. The last time we ran here, we saw Brad Keselowski pick up the win. This is the first time Xfinity Series has raced here in quite some time. And let's begin by talking about the driver who picked up the win tonight, and that, of course, is Connor Zilisch. This is Connor Zilisch's fourth win in a row, only the third driver ever to do that in NASCAR Xfinity Series competition. And this is Connor's 9th win of 2025. Let's go through Connor Zilisch's race really quickly. So Connor Zilisch, of course, won the pole for this race, and there was some good racing throughout the field early in the event, but Connor Zilisch would lead every lap flag to flag and would dominate and come off the corner and win stage number 1. But what I noticed on the longer run for Connor is this car was having some issues on the longer run. It didn't seem like his car was as good as guys like Aric Almirola's and maybe even Justin Allgaier's at that point. On the first pit stop of the race, this would be the only time that he would unfortunately lose the lead of this event. On the pit stop, they didn't really have a good stop. They lost a couple positions. Aric Almirola and I believe Justin Allgaier jumped him on pit road, and Connor would drop back to third. Actually, William Swash also jumped him on pit road as well. Connor would drop to third. On the restart, though, Justin Allgaier made a ballsy move up to the outside, had a really great move, makes the move to the outside of William Swash a couple laps later, and jumps to the race lead, and Aric Almirola jumps up to second. And then, of course, Connor Zilisch, who got loose a little bit throughout this run, he would drop back to fourth, but then eventually got up to third. Meanwhile, Aric Almirola was running down Justin Allgaier throughout this run. That number 19 was really strong and really fast all night long, especially in a longer run. It was catching Justin Allgaier. They were a fantastic and really great battle for the race lead, with Connor Zilisch keeping up close and having a really strong car throughout the night. But Aric had one opportunity, couldn't get by him. Justin Allgaier was able to hold off a hard-charging Aric Almirola and would come off the corner and win stage number 2. But during the green flag pit stops, Connor Zilisch actually would win the race off pit road, and Justin Allgaier, who had a really strong car all night long, would unfortunately get a speeding penalty and would have to go to the tail end of the longest line because of that. Tough break for Justin Allgaier. Another time where that 17 makes a mistake after it looks like they're going to be getting a victory. Tough break for Justin. He would have to go to the tail end of the field. On the restart, Connor Zilisch would have the outside. I believe that Aric Almirola would be on the inside, and Connor got a great restart and was able to get the race lead. And he started pulling away from the field once again over guys like Jesse Love. But the guy that was charging, of course, at that point was Aric Almirola. He got by Jesse Love with around 50 laps to go in the event and moved up to second position and was keeping up with him. And we were all thinking we're going to have some green flag pit stops taking place. All of a sudden, with 50 laps to go in the race, Jeb Burton would have, unfortunately, a flat right front tire after I think the brake rotor failed on the car, and he would hit the outside wall really hard and get a ton of damage on the right front of his car. Jeb Burton, of course, was fighting to make the playoffs. Well, unfortunately, the only guy who could have gotten in without a win at this point. He would hit the outside wall hard, get a ton of damage. Of course, earlier in the race, Jordan Anderson, who was making, I believe, his first or second Xfinity Series start of the year, would also have a flat tire, hit the outside wall. Tough break for Jeb, who was having a decent run tonight. His night would come to an end. Then on the restart, once again, you would have Connor Zilisch lead the field from the outside with Aric Almirola on the inside. And Connor Zilisch actually had a restart mistake at that point. And Aric had a chance to get by, but then he couldn't get by at that point. And then Connor would start pulling away. And then a few laps later, another caution would come out for Harrison Burton, who spun after some contact with Brendan Poole. Brendan Poole just missed the corner a little bit, went up the racetrack, and got into Harrison spinning out. Tough break for Harrison, who was having a decent run, was fading back throughout the field. That would bring out the caution once again. Meanwhile, you're having Sammy Smith having some trouble and problems with apparent brake fire on the car, and Austin Hill also had come down pit road at that point to try to make some adjustments on the car. And then on the next restart with 26 to go, Connor Zilisch led the field from the outside with Jesse Love on the inside, and they both had decent restarts, but unfortunately Sheldon Creed could not get into third gear, had issues getting into third gear going down the front straightaway, and Sheldon Creed was stacked up the field and get hit from behind by Corey Day, and then he come back down the racetrack and collect a lot of guys, including Justin Allgaier, Sam Mayer, Dean Thompson, Kyle Sieg, Ryan Sieg, Brendan Poole, Nick Sanchez, Corey Day, Taylor Gray, all got collected in the crash. To me, that's just a massive chain reaction. Unfortunately, I put that on really nobody personally. I guess you can maybe put it on Sheldon Creed for missing a shift in that point and having a gearing issue there, but I can't really put it if there's having transmission issues and problems. Tough break for all those guys involved with that incident, including Corey Day, who was having a really strong run all night long. Again, I think that's just a racing deal at this point and more of a racing incident if you ask me. And then on the next restart on lap 143, you had Connor Zilisch lead the field from the outside with Jess Love on the inside, and Connor Zilisch got another great restart and was able to clear for the lead, and William Swash is making some really big moves and moved up to second position. As it came down the front straightaway, a caution would come out for debris from someone's car, and this would bring out the final caution of this race. And then on the final restart, you had Connor Zilisch lead the field from the outside with Eric Almirola on the inside. And Connor Zilisch actually spun the tires after not having any contact with William Swash. Just spun the tires, went down the track. Eric Almirola tried to go up the track and put Zilisch in the wall, it looked like. But Connor Zilisch got a great run off the corner and was able to clear for the lead with William Swash moving into second. And William Swash would actually keep up with Connor Zilisch at this point in this race. Williams' car seemed to be a little bit good at this point and was definitely gaining a little bit of ground. But coming in the final few laps of the race, Williams' Swash's car started fading back just a little bit, and a couple other guys were starting to run him down. Coming the white flag of the race, Connor Zilisch went about a 1.2 to 1.3 second lead over the rest of the field. He would then come off the final corner and would lead over 115 or 120 laps, something like that at this point, and would come off the corner and pick up his 9th Xfinity Series win in 2025, also win the regular season championship, and pick up his 10th career NASCAR Xfinity Series win. What an absolute dominant night for Connor Zilisch. Since he came back from his injuries, right, he has been on a roll. 14 consecutive top 5 finishes, 9 wins, and 7 in the last 8 races. This 88 team has been so fast throughout the second half of this regular season. He's been the strongest guy in the field over the last few months in particular. And going into this playoffs, the 88 team is the favorite to win the championship right now because this track is very similar to Phoenix. And his car was really, really good, like it's going to be at Phoenix. I think if you're good at this track, you can absolutely go out there and pick up a win at Phoenix. So for Connor to be this strong at Phoenix, at Gateway, the field should absolutely be very, very concerned because that number 88 car has been so dominant this season. 9 wins, an unbelievable year, put together an absolute dominant clinic tonight, and he's ready for Cup at this point. We all know this, but what a dominant season. Congratulations to Connor Zilisch on continuing his unbelievable year. 9 wins, absolutely amazing, incredible. Good congrats to Connor on picking up the win in victory. So now we'll go ahead and take a look at the race results from tonight's event and then also talk about the whole race itself. So Connor Zilisch picks up the win. William Swash finished second. I want to give William Swash a shout out. He's been figuring this out throughout the year. Another great run tonight. He put together one of his best runs of the year, consistently ran top 5 all night long. I'm telling you, if he's back in the 18 next year, he'll make the playoffs because he's been really figuring it out, doing a lot better the second half of the year. Fantastic run for William. He finished second. Christian Eckes finished third. He was charging near the end of this race. He was coming up toward William Swash near the end, and at times is quicker than the leader, Connor Zilisch, but comes home with a really strong top 5 finish, one of the best runs Christian's had all year. Great night for him. He finishes third. Brandon Jones finished 4th, a quiet top 5 run tonight. Ran top 5, top 10 most of the night. Didn't have race-winning pace, but showed really solid speed. Kind of tracked the races similar to Phoenix. Great night for Brandon. He finishes 4th. Jesse Love finished 5th. Had a great short run car. Didn't seem like he had a really good long run car tonight, but a solid top 5 run for Jesse Love. Continues to put on some really good finishes. As of late, a good night for Jesse Love to score top 5. He finishes 5th. Eric Almirola finished 6th. Unfortunately, near the end of the race, he kind of got swallowed up on one of those late race restarts. That 19 car was really good, especially on a long run, but he just didn't have a car that was really good on the short run. They set up because they knew this was likely going to be a long run race, and it was like that for most of the night until the end. He lost track position because of that. He finishes in 6th. Daniel Hemrick finished 7th. Quiet top 10 run for Hemrick, making his first Xfinity Series start of the year. Good to see him back with Colleague Racing. A pretty quiet top 10 run. Good to see him finish inside the top 10 in 7th. Parker Reslap finished 8th. One of the better runs Parker Reslap's had all year so far. He ran top 10 near the end of the race, kind of moved his way quietly through the field, and he had decent speed in practice, so I thought he would have a pretty decent run tonight, and he comes home with a really strong top 10 run in 8th place. Good to see the Out Prime race car finish inside the top 10. Corey Day finished 9th. Corey Day ran better than 9th place. He had probably a top 5, top 6 car and was really good on the long run especially. It just seemed like on the short run that car kind of struggled a little bit, but they made that car better all night long. He's getting this figured out as well. As obviously been rumored he may be going full-time Xfinity Series racing next year in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. So a pretty good run for Corey Day to finish up there. And Daniel Dye finished 10th. A quiet top 10 run for Daniel Dye. One of his better runs of the year so far. It's been a little bit of struggle for the 10 teams so far as of late. So solid to see him finish inside the top 10. Great run from him in 10th. Matt DiBenedetto finished 11th, a decent night for him. One of his better runs of the year. I think it's one of his best finishes of the season so far. You know, the score is a top 10 on a non-super speedway, so good to see him run up front. He finished in 11th. Austin Hill finished 12th. He charged his way up inside the top 15. Of course, had fresh tires near the end. Tires didn't really matter insanely, though they did matter a little bit in this race, more than probably going to matter in the Cup Series race tomorrow. But he does get a top 15 and 12th. Not a bad run for him. Anthony Freda finishes 13th, decent run for him. Brendan Poole gets top 15 and 14, so solid night for Alpha Prime altogether with the two of their cars finishing inside the top 15. Jeremy Clements gets a solid top 15 and 15th. Not a bad run for him. Dean Thompson finishes in 16th. Taylor Gray, who had some damage in that big crash, finished in 17th. Decent recovery after getting some damage in that wreck. Ryan Ellis finishes 18th. LeVar Scott finished 19th. I think this is LeVar's first ever top 20 finish in Xfinity competition and comes home in only a second start and gets a top 20. Great run for LeVar Scott. He legitimately ran top 25 tonight. Showed some pretty solid speed. Obviously, there's been rumors about his future in NASCAR. A solid night for LeVar, proving himself in this series. A good night with the Alpha Prime Racing team. He finished 19th. And Thomas Annunziata finished 20th. Decent night for him. Matt Mills finished 21st. Harrison Burton finished 22nd. He does make the playoffs with Jeb Burton falling out of the event. Unfortunately, though, for Harrison, did get some damage on the car. Just didn't really have the car under them tonight. They qualified very, very well, but he struggled throughout the race and finished 22nd because of that. Just didn't have the car under them tonight. Unfortunately, one of their worst runs of the year. Blaine Perkins finished 23rd. Kyle Seek finished 24th. Nick Sanchez, who got damage in that big crash, he finished 25th. Joey Gase finished 26th. Ryan Siegel, who got damage also in that massive wreck as well, finished in 27th. Justin Allgaier finished 28th. I want to talk about Justin Allgaier here for just a second. I think Allgaier was the only car tonight who may have had anything for Connor Zilisch in this race. But once he had the speeding penalty, and once he got caught up in that big wreck, there's just nothing he could do. He got a ton of damage on some of those restarts when the checkups were happening. There's not much you can do when you get a lot of damage on the car. He finished 28th because of that. Nick Weiss finished in 29th. Sheldon Creed finished in 30th, got damage in that wreck. Glenn Green finished in 31st. Garrett Smithley finished 32nd. Sammy Smith finished 33rd. Cole Rass finishes in 34th, making his Xfinity debut. Got a ton of damage on his car, and I think he hit the wall and fell out of the race almost because of that. Sam Mayer crashed out, finished 35th. Jeb Burton finished 36th. Carson Quavel finished 37th, who had a brake issue in this race and went to the garage. And Jordan Anderson finished last in 38th place. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the playoff standings going into this race, and we'll talk about the race as well itself. So at the time of recording this video, they unfortunately have not put out the playoff standings at this point going into the first race. So once we get to the race picks coming up, we'll talk about that once it does get announced. But let's talk about the race itself. Honestly, for Race at Gateway, we all know coming into this race that it's probably going to be a track position race. It's very difficult to pass a Gateway. You have a lot of long straightaways, and it's very tough to pass in those corners if you've watched Truck and Cup races before. But honestly, even though it was tough to pass, it was not impossible to pass. You could definitely see the guys making moves to the inside and outside. And I think the racing for Gateway standards, honestly, was pretty fun to watch at times. He had a lot of great moves happening out there. A lot of guys being able to make opportunities. Yes, Connor Zilisch dominated this race, but the racing behind him I thought was really fun all night long. The Xfinity Series can go to any track at this point and put on a great show. I thought tonight's race is really fun to watch. My score for tonight's NASCAR Xfinity Series race overall, I'm going to give this race overall a 7. I'm going to give this race 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this race quite a bit. Sure, there was some wrecking at the end. It kind of dropped it a little bit, but I thought tonight's race was really fun. My score is going to be 8 out of 10 for tonight's event. So, that is going to be it for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race review from Gateway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, let's go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's get some more of that, and comment your thoughts below on tonight's race. Your thoughts on tonight's race, let me know below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and congratulate Connor Zilisch on picking up a dominating win. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow morning on the channel, we're going to see a starting lineup video for the Enjoy Illinois 300 from Gateway. You also see the race view for the Enjoy Illinois 300 as well. Maybe a Shane Van Gisbergen video as well. Tomorrow, then on Monday, we will also have a NASCAR news. We're probably 2, as a matter of fact, with all the news that's been dropping. Got to talk about the Haas Factory Team news, talk about some of the other silly scene stuff around Daniel Suarez and Legacy Motor Club, wanting to have a 3rd charter next year. Also talk about some other big news that broke this weekend. And we're going to talk about a lot of people like Haley Deegan, SVG, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bo Wallace, Ross Chastain, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Carson Quaffle, Cletus Farland, Dodge, Ram, Colic, all the good stuff. Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, all the good stuff talk about on the channel in the coming days and weeks as well. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.